Hey everyone, my name is Dani D, owner of Dani D Fitness. I'm a body positive fitness trainer here in Nashville, Tennessee, so I'm local. I started my business about 5 years ago, and I'm super excited to be here at the City Fitcon event. For me, loving your body is such a huge part in everything that I have to do with my business. So we're gonna kind of go through today a little bit about my business, a little bit about some tips and tricks on how to love your body more, and how to embrace it no matter what. And we're gonna get started in just a second. Sure. Hi everybody on the live, hello. And if you guys have questions too, you can ask, please. So if you've ever had any issues with loving your body throughout your journey, by all means, feel free to ask me anything. So we're gonna go through here. All right.
Hey everyone, my name is Dani D, owner.
So we're gonna start with this video.
Body positive fitness trainer. With Dani Fitness, my mission is to break the stereotype of what healthy and fit look like, and love yourself throughout that journey. From 500 pound tire flip to shape squat instructor to Nashville's body positive fitness influencer for Connect Nashville, I have overcome and just accomplished so many things in such a short amount of time, and I'm so grateful for the support of everyone who has worn one of my shirts, who has listened to my Love Your Body podcast, come to a Move Fit, my athletic dance format that I do to promote body positivity. Anyone who's trained with me as a personal training client to come to my fitness festivals, it has been such an amazing journey, and it's been so special. I've had sponsors, several sponsors you see here today, and just people who have been always a part of the mission. To have people watching all over the world and who've been inspired by my mission and by my business. I knew that that's what I wanted. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And so by lifting that 500 pound tire and being seen nationwide, it was one of those moments of strength, being sexy, loving myself throughout. Like, it was just all these things come across in one video.
Love this video.
And for that to be showcased, and then people to recognize that this is so much bigger than just a Nashville local brand, or a young female entrepreneur, but it's so much bigger than that. It is literally changing the situation, how people look and feel in their everyday life. And I'm so honored to be able to spearhead this and just be that person that people look up to help them fight for what they want every day. These last 5 years have been an incredible journey, and that I couldn't even imagine how everything happened, and it's just been so awesome to watch it play out. Hard work and just continuing to keep going no matter adversity, no matter what's hit me. I've continued to move forward with that thought in mind that I want to help people love themselves more and truly and really love themselves more. I can't wait to see what the next 5 years brings.
Awesome. So that's a little bit about me and my business. The next thing we're gonna go into is just basically my mission statement is to break the stereotype of what healthy and fit look like and help others to love themselves throughout their journey. This is something that I have kept true for my entire 5 years of my business. That mission statement has not changed. I have been able to, good, yeah, okay. Have been able to do amazing things because I have not put myself in a box. And so I've always wanted others to be able to break out of that box as well. So I'm gonna show you this next video, what I was referring to.
Let's go! Let's go!
So this video has been seen over 50 million times, 50 million views over E! News, Shape, SportsCenter, ESPN, CBS, WorldStar, Reddit. You may have seen it or come across it and been like, oh, I didn't know that was you. So this was such a pivotal moment because this not only showcased a strong female doing incredible feats of strength, but also being sexy and being beautiful while doing that as well. And I have never felt better in my life. Like that moment when I watched girl after girl at the competition be able to not lift that tire up, I knew that for one, just as a unit, I needed to finish this, just finish it and end up being, end up just accomplishing something that I knew I could do. And even though I saw people fail in front of me, not let that, take me off of my journey. And that really showcases kind of my whole mission of looking at what others are doing is not the right, what am I trying to say? That's not the right way that I would look at loving your body, right? So I think that in society, we continually try to compare ourselves over and over and over again. But when you do what you want to do and when you fight for what you want, there's no comparison. There's nothing that, that even can hold you back. So this was such an amazing moment. A little bit more about my business. We have 3 pillars to Dani D Fitness. So we have fight for what you want, get your movement in, and love your body throughout. So when I first started my business, I had an event literally the first weekend I started my business. So I signed the LLC and got all that taken care of. And it was so cool because I had shirts printed out. They said, fight for what you want, Dani D Fitness. I had white and black. And then I had black bands, blue bands that I also had. I had sweat towels and I had all these things that could help people that if they just ever came to take my class, that they would know that they could leave this class and maybe never even see me again, never follow me again or whatever, but they would have this band that would remind them to love themselves throughout the day. Or they'd have the sweat towel that remind them that this name, this Dani D Fitness brand is so much more than just it was a workout that we did one time. And I use these notions and these pillars in my everyday life. So from doing strongman competitions to bodybuilding, whatever it might be, I have continually been able to look back at these sayings and tell myself to get up, get my movement in, continue to fight for what I want, and to love my body throughout. Because the biggest thing about fitness, as you guys know, a lot of people are doing it for aesthetics. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it because they think they're going to find a partner once they hit their goal weight. They're doing it for recognition and to prove themselves. And I love a good underdog story, right? Especially that tire flip, that was. I literally saw people walk away as I was lifting the tire, and and it was one of those moments where it pushed me over the edge. But I love to look at my journey holistically and say, okay, I would rather use positivity for fuel versus negativity. And whenever I was going through on my own journey, that's when I started this business. And that's when I, found the love for myself by lifting strong and feeling a strong female and realized how much more important it was than I even knew it could be. So movement makes me feel strong, and that makes me feel sexy. What is your one thing that makes you feel your best? Getting dressed up, eating well, going out? I want you to kind of think about that for a second. So, is it that movement is your outlet? Is it, buying a new outfit and wearing real people clothes, because I never get to wear real people clothes. And I'm always in just leggings and a Dani D Fitness shirt. So for me, obviously, like I said, movement and lifting heavy and lifting weights is where I feel most empowered and feel like my strongest self. It literally changes my whole outlet on everything. If I'm having a bad day, or if someone, as simple as cuts me off in traffic, or I cut them off in traffic, right? Because that's more likely to happen. When all these things happen that are disruptive in our life, it's so nice to just be okay, I have my movement, I'm getting it in, get all that stress, and then just be able to breathe. And movement has saved my life so many times, and in so many ways, from depression, from sadness, from, just feeling less than. It was always there for me. It never talked back. It never got an attitude with me. It never judged me. It was just the barbell was there. The weights were there. I might have been angry that, when I got injured that I couldn't lift the weights, but in movement, there was some type of form of movement that I could always do, And so for me, I always, hey guys, I always try to remember that. And then also to remember to love myself throughout. And that's it's such an easy thing to do, I know, right? You say it oh yeah, love yourself throughout. But really I feel like most of us have this time where we don't actually love ourselves throughout. Or we look at, I don't know, we look at just all the nonsense and we let it take over us to where even if you do get your movement or you get dressed up or whatever, it's a fleeting moment and it's not even a real thing, right? So with Dani D Fitness, what we try to do is help people to keep that feeling to keep going, right? And so that it's not just like a one-time, okay, wore an outfit, I feel good, I went out, on Broadway, had a good time, now I feel less than again, right? And this, this wave that happens over and over and over again. And so it's like secular, and you just feel exhausted all the time because you're like, I can't love myself, and it's not a real love. Let me see. So, with our activity, activity time is write down one thing that you love about yourself physically and write down one thing that you love about yourself mentally, right? So if we look at this, like for example, like I'll call on you, what is one thing that you love about yourself physically? Your eyes, I love that. And what is one thing that you love about yourself mentally? Like, is it your ambition? Okay, I love it. So she knew right away, which is perfect. Let's see. Kelly said most people are not fully connected to, I can't read this, hold on, are not fully connected to themselves, especially their bodies. So important to feel connected to yourself, both mentally and physically. Yes, 100%, girl. And so that's why we have that whole triangle for Dani Fitness, right? The good movement, good fuel, positivity, which goes in line with fight for what you want, get your movement in, love your body throughout. So with the activity, I encourage you guys watching at home, I encourage you guys here, that to write down one thing. You can put it on your phone. I don't care if you do it in your notes. You can write it down physically, like whatever you got to do. But to find that one thing that you love about yourself physically and the one thing you love about it mentally. Because again, we're trying to have a balanced lifestyle. And with that, we want to make sure that we are really focused on, not just focusing too much on, not focusing too much on just one or the other. So for me, I put that I love my legs and I love my drive/motivation. So I feel like I have been given a gift from God that has allowed me to be able to, just continually keep that drive up and keep going and keep fighting for what I want, no matter what it is. And I like to joke with people saying like I have no stop about it. Like I have no stop about like helping people to love themselves throughout, because I think it's so important with getting their movement in, because I think that it's so important. And I think it can change the situation of how we all interact, how relationships are, when it comes to infidelity, when it comes to insecurity. And it plays such a bigger role than most people would think. So many times we just get up and throw something on, and like for years I never even looked in the mirror. Like I had a big mirror that I had in my parents' house growing up, and in my dance room, and I was a competitive dancer, so I was in front of a mirror all the time, and I literally could not look at myself. I would just get up out of bed, roll, put my clothes on, and then go on with my day. And I would kind of just look at myself and be like, okay, like this is good enough, I guess, and then go. And I was never excited about putting on an outfit. I was never excited about anything, because, and we're gonna get into this, it ended up being that I was continually getting external factors that tore me down about like me loving myself. But before we get into that, just to talk about the motivation and determination.
Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes.
Play this video for you guys.
Doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. No matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do. That's the way it works.
So yeah, so a little just reel from my Instagram. Dani Fitness 1 is my handle. So everybody watching on the live, thank you so much. But yeah, so I have on here, let's see if you guys can see. Yeah. So just again about that motivation and that drive. So you can look at that for a minute. But again, it just goes to show you that like when you know yourself and you know truly what you're willing to fight for, there's nothing that you can't accomplish. And what's super important with all of this is the idea that we're, again, keeping that idea in our head about loving ourselves throughout. Because it would be easy for me to just like drop weight, lose weight, do it unhealthily, be like, I don't really care. I'm just like here to look good for everyone else. And you know what I mean? And like appease them, when that's not who I am. That's not being true to myself, because I've never really cared about that. And when I was younger, I started to care more and more about that because people continually brought that on to me. So for here, I'm going to play this real quick so it goes a little bit more into that story.
My journey to the Nashville Fit Show has been one of a kind. I was a competitive dancer growing up, but I never looked the part of a dancer. I was about 14 when I started to put on weight, and it's like everything changed. People started treating me differently. It went from just being carefree and fun and positive to having to worry and feel like I was alone, and I was like, I couldn't breathe, like I couldn't talk. I tried to keep health like on the forefront, but I just never knew how. And so it wasn't until college where I finally was like fed up, and I was like, I'm gonna start my healthy lifestyle journey. I'm gonna ask for help, get a coach, you know, those type of things. Eventually ended up becoming a certified group fitness instructor, certified personal trainer. I fell in love with movement, the feeling that it gave me. I felt capable and strong no matter my weight or size. I dealt time and time again with people underestimating me and always assuming because I was a certain size and didn't look like everyone else that I was not valuable and that I couldn't excel. And this was something that was really hard for me because I knew that I was great. I knew that I was amazing. I knew that I stood out, but yet being knocked down time and time again. I dealt with that in college. I dealt with that as a teenager. I dealt with that, you know, everywhere that I went, it seemed like. So I honestly began to expect it. I wanted to change the situation and turn the negative into a positive. Whether it was the weight, body shaming, the, you know, being made to feel not comfortable in my body for what I did. This journey has helped me to learn to not emotionally eat anymore, to focus on, you know, what I want and fight for what I want and love myself throughout again. Through the trauma, through the heartbreak, through everything, because I kept moving forward. And that's what bodybuilding's all about. I truly am where I know that I'm supposed to be. I couldn't be more proud to come out today on stage and be my best self, mentally, physically, and just have fun. It's so important to love yourself throughout this journey, and that's what I'm here to do, and here's the example for it.
Awesome. So yeah, so just a little bit more to dive into that journey of overcoming adversity. And you know, for me, finding bodybuilding was so cool because that was something that I never thought that I could accomplish. And to be able to go up there and feel confident in my skin and not say, oh, I feel good being up here as a, you know, quote unquote big girl, or, you know, making excuses for myself. It was more of do the hard work, fight for what you want, get your movement in, and love yourself throughout it. And that was a true test to tell me if I really had that true confidence that I had been working on for so long. Because we all have to realize is, yes, I've had my business for 5 years, but I have been doing, you know, group fitness and been a certified personal trainer since 2011, 2012. So I mean, you know, we're going on 11 years of movement and figuring out, finding a balance. So it's always so funny to me when people are like, yeah, I just haven't found that thing yet, or haven't, you know, gotten the groove yet, and they've been maybe on their healthy lifestyle regimen for 6 months. And I'm like, y'all, I've been doing this, you know, and I've been there with my clients. I've been there through it. I understand. I've lost the weight with them. I've put weight on with trauma. I've done so many different things. And so it's been a really cool experience for me to have this whole approach that, you know, can help people to, you know, just be able to see themselves a little bit better and help them to really focus on their healthy lifestyle regimen and a real healthy lifestyle regimen. So I have a question for you guys. Why do you not like your body? Is it internal or external pressure from others? So I want you to think about that, because maybe you immediately thought of something, right? Like, I know for me, I immediately think of society, celebrities, you know, that just pops up in my head, okay? But seriously, why do you not like your body? Was it because someone told you, like, I'll use my own personal experience, but like someone told you that you looked like, you know, an ogre when you were younger, or a whale? Was it because, you know, that people would say they were embarrassed to like watch you dance on stage? Or, you know, things like these comments, right? External factors. Or are you really gonna eat that other, you know, cheeseburger? That's like, well, yeah, I was planning on it. You know, so it's like, again, it's for me, it was all about external forces, because like I loved myself, you know, always. I was healthy, capable, rocking and rolling, wore crop top to dance. You just felt good. I mean, I weighed more than everyone else, and I looked lean and I looked strong and athletic. But for some reason, when I got my acid reflux, and all this happened, it became one of these things where everyone started noticing. They started asking me like, oh, maybe you should be drinking more water, or maybe you should be doing, it's like everyone wanted to fix me. But that's the thing, is there was nothing to fix. You know what I mean? Like, I had addressed things with my doctors. We'd all talked about, you know, what I needed to go through and to help me, you know, and with all of that. So it was just all these comments that would flood. So after so many years of hearing that constantly of, you don't look the part of a dancer, you don't look like this, whatever, and being beat down and beat down and beat down, you just eventually start to believe it, right? And I feel like that happens with men and women, but I feel like as women especially, you hear something enough, sometimes it just takes one time of hearing it versus, if you hear that multiple times throughout your day with every meal you eat, with every criticism, right? It's just like you can't breathe. And that was kind of what I was referring back to in the video, that I felt like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't be my best self ever because I was like always on edge. Everyone was always watching everything that I did. And it was always wrong. And that's such a hard thing, especially if you are at this point in your journey where you're not the weight you want to be. Doctors maybe say you're obese or overweight or whatever it might be. And you just feel continually beat down. The other part of this, I'll play this real quick and then we'll go into the internal part.
Well, I think it's because of the rise of editing photographs, right? I get why people do it. It's because Hollywood has put out so many impossible images for everyone else to try and live up to that are all photoshopped, and now we can all do it with apps. But the reason I don't Photoshop anything, and the reason I don't let Hollywood Photoshop me, even my Marvel poster is completely unedited, is not because I'm so great and I'm on my soapbox. It's because my mental health gets damaged. When I look in a mirror, I feel disappointed because I'm trying to live up to an AI-perfected image. Mm-hmm. And so, they tried to take my back fat out of an NBC billboard for The Good Place, and I was like, put my back fat back in. I insisted on it. It was like a boob at my back, but I've got one when I wear strapless dresses because I've got big boobs. This happens. Don't take this away. I have to live with this. Don't take it away temporarily, otherwise I'll start to hate it.
And I love that, okay? I don't even know who that model is or that actress is or anything like that, but that clip right there, for me was like, that is exactly what I've been saying, for so long, because I feel like the thing that has changed is social media, which I love social media. I love what it can do for my business. I love that it helps me reach, nationwide, worldwide, everywhere. But it is one of those things that when you edit your photos, you're now seeing this skewed view of yourself. So when you do see yourself in a different light, or someone gets a bad angle, right, quote unquote, you then become so upset with who that is. And you're like, that's not what I look like, that's not me. And we focus on this perfection and this unrealistic ideal. And that girl, again, I don't think that anyone would look at her and say that she's overweight or that she's, unhealthy or whatever, right? Because of how she looks. And the thing is that she even says that she has, back fat, and she has these places on her that again, she's got to live with. And so that's how it was for me. Even when I was doing this PowerPoint, I'm looking back at all these photos and I'm like, okay, I remember exactly how I felt when I took that photo. I remember exactly how I felt when I was on the Stairmaster for an hour and a half. I remember all these things. And I remember looking at them and being like, I'm so glad that I didn't edit this because that's really what I looked like. And that made me feel special. And even with my photographers, and you see my photographer here today, but I tell her to not edit my stuff and to not change anything or filter anything, except if it's a lighting issue or something, easy like that. Because again, I want to look back on my life and remember who this is and who I am. And I think a lot of us have dealt with body shaming and body dysmorphia. And, I kind of talked about the external factors and the body shaming, but now internally, talking about the body dysmorphia, growing up with mirrors all around me all the time with dance, I felt my strongest and sexiest, you can guess, when I was dancing, when I felt athletic, when I felt, that's why I felt my most beautiful, when I was on stage. And I loved every minute of it. In front of thousands of people, didn't care. I just rocked it out and whatever. It was the other parts when I came off stage and I had to deal with, the comments and things like that. So for me, just being able to continue this notion of keeping my mental health on the forefront. With even losing weight with bodybuilding, it can be kind of scary because you don't know what you're going to weigh the next day because you are continually losing weight for the show, right? Or the way I did it, it took me a year just to get healthier again. And then to be able to cut before the show and things like that. But even when putting your weight back on, I talk about this later in the presentation, but putting the weight back on and stuff, a lot of women have a hard time with that because they saw themselves on stage and they were like, oh, this is my worth, this is everything, I am this person, this is who I am, this is my identity. Versus being like, this is something I prepped for a competition as an athlete, and now I'm going to come out of that stage in that season of time, and now I'm in a different season. in my different season. You know, a lot of people call it improvement season for that world, but like that's what's so cool about life is that you're not supposed to be just one size all the time. You know, you're gonna have times where, you know, for my women, you know, that you get pregnant or, you know, you have a baby or maybe you go through something, you know, and then you have, you know, for my men who are there in support and like with the pregnancy weight and just like different things that happen, you know, you got to kind of ride with it, right? And so how special would it be to look at the rest of your life and just imagine it right now and be like, wow, like I really did love myself through it versus adding one more stressor internally, you know, besides dealing with making money and, you know, your car and all these things that happen. But like having that at ease makes your life so much easier. So I know it's a lot of hard work up front, but again, when you continually work at it and work through it, it's what changed my whole perception on everything. From here, so we kind of talked about our internal self-worth, the difference. I would say that if you're somebody that's dealing with the external, the biggest thing is to get away from the negativity, okay? So I don't know, for those of you, if you live with the negativity, unfortunately, if you see it all on your social media because you follow a bunch of people that have unrealistic body types and not ideal, you know, not ideal people to follow because they edit everything and you feel like you have to live up to that standard. Like, again, if we don't start changing our environment around us, we can't focus on what actually we want and what we actually want for ourselves too, right? Because somebody may be telling you that you should get lip injections or you should dye your hair a certain color, but you're like, do I even want that? But if you see it 50 times a day that everyone's doing it, well, you're like, okay, yeah, I want it. So now it's, you know, it's kind of warped your brain to think you want something when actually you really don't. And you would have been totally cool with not having, you know, the hair done or the lip filler or all those other things, right? And so then it's like with the internal part of it and the self-worth, you know, what I have found, because that wasn't really what I had dealt with, but what I have found from clients that I've heard their stories and things like that, you know, the best thing that you can do is to talk kindly to yourself every day. And I think I have it on here. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. But so some tips on how to do that, okay? So on here, so this was just like the Nashville Love Your Body initiative that I did, and this was a Nashville sign. And so I did this jump. That was a dance jump of mine. And the funny part of this is people think that this jump is like how it's supposed to look. The actual jump, like I have pictures when I was younger and before my back injury. And I mean, my head is like in my hands, like it is a complete, like a beautiful like sea jump. So this is not even like, again, what it's supposed to look like, but this was what was caught. And in this moment, because I had been loving myself throughout my journey, when I saw this photo, there was no critique. There was no anything, like I'm bringing it to you now so you understand that I didn't wait for the perfect photo or for the whatever. It was a feeling. It was a confidence that me seeing this was like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to say. Like I feel beautiful. I feel strong. The fact that I can still jump with my back and my vertebrae out of place, like in a bulge disc, like, I mean, this is incredible. And it was just a moment where it was, I wanted it to be seen everywhere. I wanted to be seen on social media. I wanted to be seen in Nashville. And when you drove by, and I mean, I had friends and friends of friends and people who reached out like, hey, we saw you naked on that billboard. And I was like, technically I have a little bathing suit thing on, but yes, the actual picture was of me naked. And the funny thing is that because it's a landmark, they actually made us edit on the underwear and like the bra. And it's interesting because during that moment, right, when we get into this whole like body positivity thing and it kind of coming down here to Nashville and everything, and I tried to bring that with body positive fitness, you know, it was interesting because I wondered if a smaller body would have been asked to have that edited on, right? And then you could say that yes, of course that was. So again, I didn't take it as a super negative or anything like that, but even Instagram took this photo down. And so again, talking about those external forces, right? But until I had all of my people, like my followers, my friends, they all shared this photo and kept re-putting it in their stories. And finally, when I posted it again, then Instagram let it stay up. So, you know, you can think that, man, I feel so good about myself. I'm loving everything. Everything's going good. And then that just kind of hits you, right? But it's like what a special moment to be able to be so far out of your, I guess, you know, not even comfort zone, but so far along the beaten path that that people see that and they realize, I'm like, wow, like that's a real body that's up there being represented, and that's a real person, and it's not edited, and it's not, I mean, like, you know, in there, I think you can see like some cellulite because my leg is bent back, like, you know, and like, and one of those things make me beautiful, and that's real, and that's me. And so I think that, for one, that the more pictures like that should be represented on social media platforms, and not just what looks appealing to the eye when we first look at it, right? So again, we have to have that confidence and that real confidence shine through no matter what. It's a little blurry up here. There we go. So that was a little clip from Nashville Fit Magazine. So it's a local health and fitness magazine here in Nashville. And it was the first time that I was represented in their magazine. And as you could see, I was doing something strong, athletic, lifting up a log. For those of you that know what strongman is, when I competed in that, that was something we had to do, and wrote my favorite slogan, fight for what you want. I do love your body as well, but fight for what you want is my first one that I came up with. So it has its, you know, dear to my heart. But yeah, it was one of those things where that was such a special moment because I had never seen someone with a body like mine being represented in that magazine. And then fast forward to, you can see over here on my easel, but then I guess 3 years after that, being in Shape magazine, and you know, having an article wrote about me, and basically the title was, you know, how I learned to celebrate my body en route of becoming Nashville's strongest woman. And that was super special. So not just, you know, we started at, you know, a local level, but then getting into that platform of being seen all over. So it was really cool, and I really loved partnering with Shape Magazine to be able to do that. Also, something else that happened that was super cool, in 2020, I became the first body positive influencer at Connect Nashville, this new high rise, right? And you're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool, but like, why does it matter, right? Well, the woman that found me, Jenna, basically she looked at my website and saw this person, like she looked at everybody in Nashville. She was looking at all these fitness people, all these amazing, you know, bodies and fit people, right? And she saw my website and loved like my mission statement, loved, you know, just how it stood out. And for me, that was such a special moment because, you know, sometimes you like pay for a website and you're like, man, like, this is a lot, and like, does anyone even look at it? Does anyone even care, right? And she found me out of everyone, and she said out of the 4 influencers that they chose, they only chose 1 female, and they picked me. And I took that with pride because that was the moment that I've been manifesting for a couple years, saying that I don't want to pay to live in Nashville. And I ended up getting to move in there for free and do trade with them and do my Move Fit, my body positive dance format there. I got to do talks like this virtually. I got to photo shoots, video shoots, but being in my body at the current size that it was, and love myself throughout that, and that was super cool. And it was all because I was just loving myself and being my best self. And so, if you can see that the theme of this, you know, is I'm trying to get you guys to understand that just by being you is enough. It's when we continually focus on what we're not doing, what we're lacking, what so-and-so is doing and what they're doing, you're taking away from yourself, and you're putting this, that light that makes you so great, you're just stretching it so thin that it eventually goes away. And I think that's what we're seeing as a society, of everyone having these downfalls of the insecurities and the sadness because you continually can't find that light again. on here, talking about light, these are some of my 3 favorite moments over the past couple of years. The 500-pound tire flip, the being able to come on the Today in Nashville show. These are 2 different times that I went on here. The first time, I actually was interviewed by 2 moms, the news anchors, and they basically were asking me questions about how to help with their kids, like how to help them love themselves, growing up as adolescent kind of thing, because, they're like, we're hiding the candy from them. We're trying to make sure that, they don't get to be too heavy or too this or that. And all I heard was, you're comparing your kids to all the other kids in their classroom. You're comparing them, that their size, that their, that their metrics are not what everyone thinks that they should be, without just having a conversation and saying, hey, do you actually want the Snickers bar? Or are you just eating it because it's just right here? Right? And again, it's, we get into that whole thing. So that was such a beautiful time. I got to sit there and kind of talk to them and give them some helpful ideas and just strategies of, again, we don't want to look at things as restrictive, but also it's kind of nonsense, right? If, for example, if your child, having candy and stuff in the house, to me is kind of irrelevant sometimes. Because again, they're going to get it out at school. They're going to get it out when they go out, whatever. And, it's one of those where it's when you keep things in the house, I used to drink 2 liters of soda every day. So I drank soda because it was there and I was bored, or I was coming home from dance and I just wanted to chug some soda. And so it was there. So I had it and I saw my parents, drink it. And that was another thing that I told them. I said, you have to lead by example. And again, I'm not a mother, so I can't even imagine. There's some super moms for sure that I get to train and get to hear the struggles that they go through. But it's one of those things of why as a child would I listen to you listen to you and not have those things when, you're having it all day long? How is that fair? Oh, because your body looks different. And that to me just it sets your kid up for failure. It sets everyone up for failure in so many ways. The other thing is, the last one I hear, I want to redefine what people think of their body. So this was when I went on, I did Move Fit, which is my dance format, with Big Joe and Kelly Sutton. And we were up there, and he just loved his body throughout, and it was so great. He was not supposed to be on that day. And basically, I ended up doing this dance format in front of them, and not at my lowest body weight and body fat. And I just was able to have fun with it and talk about my Find Your Fit Festival and talk about how I'm bringing together the community to help everyone be able to showcase and find what fitness levels worked for them. And doing that even as a fitness brand owner. So it was really a special time. And from here, I have just some client pictures. So my clients loving their bodies throughout, not just when they get to their goals. So obviously Katie on here has been losing some weight and she's feeling better in her body, right? Well, we've been lifting, we've been moving, we've been talking about, good choices of food, not perfection, not perfect movement, not being positive, fake positive all the time, but truly just being dang, I lift up these weights today. Oh, I bought a smaller Love Your Body size shirt and it fits, and that's really cool. Again, these things can be celebrated and still have love for your body, right? It's almost all of it's irrelevant until they get to a certain size. People were oh, keep going, keep going. What if this is where she wanted to be? What if that was her goal, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So to me, it's always so funny that, again, when those external forces try to come and tear you down, that's why I tell my clients, kind of get in that tunnel vision of do you love yourself right now? Yes? Okay, then it's that period. You're there's no need to go into more thought about it. There's no need to talk about it anymore. And just try to focus, on that. From there, my other client, using movement to help her love herself after having her second child. And she's doing a great job, putting in the work, putting in the effort, but truly just kind of looking at food differently, not as restrictive, and just hey, Dani, and talking to me about is this, are these good choices? And then because she wants to make those choices so that her kids see it, and she wants to make these choices so her husband eats a little bit better, and it's just it all what they're doing, what I'm trying to I guess help with them is so that this way they take back this idea of loving themselves, and it rubs off on their kids, it rubs off on their partner, it rubs off on everyone that they're around, because people are whoa, you're cool with yourself? And people are so taken back by that it's just interesting, to see that most would want to talk about how they're not where they want to be, or they want to complain, or they want to do this, or be, so they're uncomfortable, or whatever it might be. But when you do that, you miss out on so many key moments and important moments in the journey. Like when she sent me this photo, she was like, Dani, I am so surprised. Like I didn't even realize, like I'm amazed by how much I've been doing. And like, I just feel so great. And she didn't even tell me what her weight was in this, you know what I mean? And like, so that wasn't even the priority. It was just that she felt like her best self, and that was awesome. So on here, I am gonna talk a little bit about MoveFit. MoveFit is my strong, sexy, athletic dance format. Let's see, I'm gonna play this for you guys. Yeah, so basically MoveFit, guys, I do it all over Middle Tennessee. I've actually done it in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, all these different places. And it is just it's my call to action to help people to love themselves more in an outdoor kind of movement. Well, not outdoor, but just in a movement in general standpoint. It's just fun, it's exciting. And I created that back in college, and it's just a good time. It's comprehensive, and all bodies can do it, as you just saw. You can modify, you can advance it, and it's just it's the choral side of my business, and so it's my love your body side. So I love getting to do that and represent just being at any point in your journey, because I've taught MoveFit at 215 pounds, I've taught it at 160 pounds. So again, it doesn't matter your size, it's just about getting out there, moving, and having fun. And then also, I got to start my own Love Your Body podcast. So if you could follow, it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple podcast as well. And so we have a couple clips here.
With that, we talk about seasons of time. And I think so many people think that once they get on the program, like, okay, they need that exact program for the rest of their life. And it gets overwhelming. And it gets to the point where that's why a lot of people fall off or quit at the end of the year. Because they're just like, man, I can't keep doing this. I've enjoyed the holidays, and I want to eat the turkey all year long, and I want to do this and that. You know what I mean? Like, it starts to get kind of like this, like 0 to 100 real quick. And plus, the season changes. A lot of people are more emotional. There's a lot more going on. Plus, with like family time, if you're going through loss or anything, there's so many things around that. So for me, I'm like, okay, if my exterior, like life, life is so crazy. I got to travel, and then this, and then friends, and social, and whatever. I want to know that at least my meals and my movement are on point, right? So I try to, always reiterate that to you guys, that having a structure may seem overwhelming at first when you start, but once you get into it.
Yep, so you can follow on more advice for relationships, having a healthy lifestyle, food, movement, just everything in general. But yeah, I love that podcast. I love being able to just talk about all the different things and tips to help you guys to be able to kind of navigate this crazy time of year and just like life in general. And so from here, I did want to talk about being the first Body Positive Fitness sponsor for Nashville Fit Show. I was also for the OCB Tennessee show as well. This was a huge moment because in this, it is one of those things where, again, the fact that I'm the first to do this, like, it just shows you how low this has been put on, like, the totem pole. Like, I don't know where the states you guys are from or anything like that and where you're watching from at home, but like, when you look at all the fitness people and all the brands and sponsors, there's so many supplement companies, right? There's so many, CBD or this or that, or, or chiropractic and whatever, right? But like when it comes to like body positivity and even body positive fitness, to be more specific, it's like, it's almost just mute. And it's still shocking to me that people will sit there and tell you we're just trying to look good naked, or we're just trying to do this for this, or we're just trying to do that. Or like, I've had, people talk to me and say things like, like, oh, this is why you do it, like for these men, you know, or this is why, and it's like, I did not do the bodybuilding show for a man, nor have plans to do one for a man. And it's not like, oh, now my life is great and now I'll be happy because you know, it's just, again, it's such a warped, toxic mindset that we're doing this to, you know, for that purpose, right? Now, like I was saying on the podcast, does this, you know, having a healthy lifestyle ease your life? It can look like a lot of work, but when you have your meals prepped, when you have, you know, your regimen down, like it just makes things so much easier, in my opinion, and it's what's made me successful, and been able to focus on my business and been able to focus on other things that are important to me in my journey.
And
we'll go here. And then also, confidence is a feeling and an energy. So I always like to have different photos of myself to represent, just because, again, like no matter if you're wearing a sweater or if you're, you know, with the pumpkin patch with your family, you're wearing a tight outfit when you work out, or you whatever, you wear a t-shirt and shorts, you know, your bodybuilding or maybe your sport is something different. But again, being able to look at yourself and say, yeah, you look different in all three photos, but you still look amazing and can love yourself no matter what you wear or what you throw on that day. And then here we have your only competition is yourself. So this goes back to those external and internal values I was talking about. And it really is important to remember this at the end of the day, when you are fighting for what you want, getting your movement in and loving your body throughout, that your only competition is you. And this was something I had to hold tight to myself for the competition, because I am competitive and I was a competitive dancer my whole life. And so, you know, it was easy for me to like, you know, be like, oh yeah, I could get into the competition and compete against these girls, but the girls I competed against were really great friends. We had a good time. And even with strongman, same thing. The girls that I flipped the tire and they didn't, or whatever, that one instance, like there was no hard feelings. Like everyone was so supportive of everything. And same when I would get second and to them getting first and whatever. So it's like one of those things where you're really, at the end of the day, your only competition should be you. All right, and then this is just my video on stage. And so as you can see, like on this video, again, the confidence, the shining, the bright, everything, it was not because I thought I was going to win. It was not because I, you know, I don't know. It was literally because I was healthy. I was able to walk in high heels with my back injury. Like there were so many positives that like there was nothing that was going to get me down that day. And being able to just enjoy that and be like, I'm good with everything that's out here, you know, and have fun with it, because I think we always try to think that we could be better, which I knew I could be better than this because we're always working towards our best self. But for me, it was like, I don't know, I worked so hard and did all these amazing, you know, feats of strength, and then it was mental power and all these different things to help me, you know, get out there and just have fun with it. And that's what's most important about loving your body throughout the journey, guys, is just having fun with it.
It's been a...
All right. And then the biggest thing I wanted you to take away for today is when I stopped caring what others thought of my body, I truly started to love myself. This is something you could write down for you to have. You can put it on your notes, take a picture, whatever. But just think about that. When I stopped caring what others thought of my body, I truly started to love myself. So no matter if that is a significant other, that's your mom, your dad, your friends, your followers on Instagram, like whoever it might be, it does not matter what their value of your self-worth or whether they think that it is about your body, or if they think you should keep going and lose 20 more pounds, or if they think you should put on some weight. All of that is irrelevant and static noise. You're gonna get that throughout your healthy lifestyle journey for sure, just because everyone has an opinion, right? But I really encourage you to just stop the nonsense and to truly change the situation. We gotta find that love for ourselves. So how do I start loving my body? Here's some tips that I have for you guys. Tell yourself one positive each day. So like we said in the beginning, I said the mentally, what is your positive about yourself, and then physically. So again, I said mine was my legs, and then I said my motivation and my drive. So I tell myself that every day because I say fight for what you want. And that's what that means about that motivation, that drive. And then I tell myself, to love my body throughout. And that's me focusing on like not just one positive about like my legs or whatever, but continually like changing that up each day and saying, okay, one day I love my, my hair, and the next day I love my legs and whatever, and having a purpose behind it, right? So for when I was not healthy, like my hair didn't grow very long, and I had issues with that. And so being able to appreciate it in the moment and say, okay, I am loving myself throughout, and have as my hair has come back. And it's been a really cool thing to see. Same thing with my leg. I couldn't feel my leg for 2.5 years. And now I can feel it and it functions well. And so it's like, I love it because of that, not because it looks super good in these booty shorts, I mean, they do, but it's still like that whole part of it too. And then every time that there is and then write down the one positive as well. So make sure you're writing this down. You can either, look at my website come the new year and get a Love Your Body journal or get your movement journal, just, anything to help you to be able to start your healthy lifestyle journey and be able to write things down. It's always beneficial, but as easy as write a note on your phone. Every time there's a negative thought about your body, imagine a stop sign. So I learned this up in Vermont when I worked at an all-women's healthy living resort. So anytime that you see someone who maybe to you is not fit or not healthy, right? Immediately there's a judgment, right? Well, when we tend to do that with other people, we start to do that with ourselves. So what I like to say is that every time that you imagine that there's a negative or you see that person or whatever, because you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know their journey, you don't know what they've been through or what they're currently going through. So you want to look at it and imagine a stop sign. Like close your eyes, there's a stop sign, and just stop it in its tracks. Don't let it come anymore. Don't think about it later in the day. Don't keep going with it. Don't tell your friends about it. Don't be like, oh, I saw this person who's, X amount of weight and I can't believe that, and how could they let themselves go like that? You've heard people talk like that all the time, right? Family members especially. Maybe you have, friends that in your circles, and like that's where we talked about earlier about getting those people kind of out of your circles will really help you to stop the negativity. And then always, of course, turn the negative into a positive. So from there, we're all done. And yep, that's the Zoe National Sign picture and my graphic, and it still to me is one of the most beautiful photos I ever took. And I just felt free, and I felt no judgment, and nothing could make me not love myself throughout my journey at that point, and still to this day. So if you guys have any questions, please come up and ask. And thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, thanks. Oh, man. All right, guys. I'm taking them off this. Okay. I was moving around a lot. Was that a lot? Was that okay? What'd you say?
Let's clap for the ground.
Yeah, thank you.
To tell Logan.